Today we are going to discuss about the restriction rules in Salesforce. The name itself it is telling that you can restrict the access to something in the Salesforce. But what you can restrict? We have many things like objects, fields and records in Salesforce. So the restriction rules are utilized only to restrict the access of records, not the objects or fields. So in Salesforce, to manage the record level access, we have many things like sharing rules, manual sharing, apex based sharing. But what if you want to restrict the record access for a particular user? Let's say I have two records. Those two records have sensitive information in my Salesforce org. I don't want one of the user in the org do not see that records at any cost, even though if he is having the access by any means, like either the sharing rule or by manual sharing or by apex based sharing also, even that access is provided to him. I don't want that user has to see those two records which is having sensitive information in my org. So in that case, I'll go to that object restriction rules. I'll configure one rule. So to explain this, I have taken the task object in the Salesforce. I am in the sharing settings screen. Under the organization wide defaults, for the activity object, you can see the default internal access has been provided as private. In Salesforce, activity object will represent the task object. The OWD is set as private. What it is meaning? So if you set the OWD as private in Salesforce, only the owner of the record can see that record, or the users who are there above in the role hierarchy in that Salesforce org. Okay. Other than that, no other user can see the record. That is the meaning of it, right? But it will not work for the task object. I will show you why. So I have two users in my Salesforce org. Let me bring up that screen as well. In the left hand side of the screen, you can see I have logged in as a user with a profile as system administrator. In the right hand side of the screen, you can see I logged in as a testing user. So this profile of this user is not a system administrator, it's a custom profile. So now let me go to the custom object. I have a custom object called employee in the org. So for this particular object, I will go to the activity tab and let me create one new task. I am creating the task as a system administrator. So let me create a task. I have created a task as a system administrator in my org, and now let me go to the custom profile user and refresh this tab. See, even the record was created by the system administrator. I am able to see this record, but this should not happen in my case because I don't want my task should be visible to all the users. This is the default behavior in Salesforce, but what my requirement is, this testing user should not see the records which were created by the other users in the task object. So for this, what I am going to do is I will go to the task object in Salesforce. In the object manager, task, let me go to this restriction rules and click on the create new rule. Give the name of it, and you have to select this is active checkbox, then only the rule will be active. We have two criteria. One is user criteria and one more is record criteria. So select which users this restriction rule applies to. So I want this restriction rule to be applied to the testing user in my organization. So I'll select the user criteria and select the field as alias name. I am filtering out using the alias name, but you can use any other field. This is the alias name of that user, and let's go to this record criteria. Select which records the specified users are allowed to see. So you have to set the criteria what are the records should be visible to this testing users. So my requirement is whatever the records were created by these testing users, only those records he has to see in this task object. So I'll select the criteria type as record field. Let me select these fields. Assign to ID. So assign to ID will be representing as a owner actually in the Salesforce. So I'll select this field. Let me select the user ID. So if the testing user is going to create the record and he is the owner of the record, right, then only he will be able to see those task records. Otherwise he cannot see any other task records. Let me click on save. Now this rule is active. So now let's go and see whether the testing user is able to see the task record or not. Let me refresh this. See now, because this task record was created by the system administrator, this testing user is not able to see any record related to that. Now let me go and create a new task as a testing user. This time I will select the email as a subject. So I have created a task as a testing user. Now let me go to the system administrator screen and click on refresh. The system administrator is able to see both the records because system administrator has access to everything in the Salesforce org. So even if you want to restrict the system administrator also, even that is also possible in the restriction rules itself. If you click on this restriction rule, in the user criteria, I have given the user alias name as a testing you because only this user I want to apply this restriction rule. If you want to apply it to system administrator as well, right, then you have to select the user ID will be the current running user ID. Then in that case, only if you log in as a system administrator and if you are going to see the task records, right, the records which were created by the system administrator will be visible to him. So this is it guys for today. I hope you guys understood these restriction rules. Thanks for everyone.